You don't always have to be a boss to learn how to work with people. Sometimes you can be a solopreneur because you're your own boss. Stay tuned for another great episode of Bad Boss Confessional. Hey, I'm Beth Fahey, and welcome to Bad Boss Confessional. I've been a leader for over 30 years, and I'll be honest, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. The thing is, those mistakes taught me more about leadership than any success ever did. This podcast is where we get honest about the moments we'd rather forget and discover why they're the ones actually worth remembering. Each week, I talk with leaders who aren't afraid to share their worst boss moments and what they learned from them. Because here's what I know: every great leader has a story they're not proud of. This is where we tell those stories. Bad Boss Confessional wouldn't be possible without a word from our sponsors. Do you love running on EOS? Try Streti, the EOS platform people love. Native integrations and extra features help you manage people, projects, process, and engagement. Connected to your favorite EOS tools and all in one place. You love EOS. It's time to love the platform you're running it on. Try Streti free at streti.com. That's STRETY.com. Streti, the EOS platform people love. Let's be honest, hiring the right people is hard. That's why I love Titus Talent Strategies. Their whole person hiring approach helps you find and keep A players who align with your values, and they back it with an industry-leading guarantee. Best part? Titus Talent Strategies is included in the entrepreneurial toolkit for companies running on EOS. Check them out at titustalent.com/EOS. Jill Salzman isn't your ordinary business coach. She's a serial entrepreneur, trusted thinking partner, and musician who rarely misses a beat. Jill brings humor, heart, and strategic clarity to every conversation, thriving on collaboration and creativity while making the hardest parts of entrepreneurship feel lighter and more human. Jill has spent years helping thousands of women build profitable businesses while navigating the beautiful chaos of real life. She's launched multiple ventures herself, so she knows what it's like to be in the trenches, making tough calls and learning from the missteps along the way. Thanks for joining us today here, Jill.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome to the Bad Boss Confessional.
Woo! Am I ready? I don't know, but I feel like I have had thousands of mistakes over the years, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Okay, sharing your mistakes with the world.
I mean, what could be better?
So, to give our listeners a little context of who you are and what you've done up to this point, would you mind just giving us a 1 minute history of your career?
Yeah, I am a serial entrepreneur who has launched more than several, very unrelated businesses. I have managed bands and sent them out on tour. I have sold baby jewelry. I have run a community organization for mom entrepreneurs, and I have launched a coaching business. I've sold two of them. I've closed one of them down. Talk about failures, and I'm now a full-time business coach.
So, I'm just curious, like, what has been your favorite chapter so far?
That is the hardest of questions because there was a little sliver of favorite in each of those moments being my businesses. But I have to say I'm in love with the work that I'm doing now the most. And I think it's because it's a culmination of all of the literal mistakes that I made over the years, have learned from them, and can now support folks and guide them to the better places. So I love it. It's the deepest work I've ever done. It's the most rewarding work I've ever done, and I hope that my clients agree.
Because you get to really help them impact their own lives. And there's
Yeah, I mean, in the biggest of ways. Yeah, and in so many ways, and so deeply that there is no work I've done previously that I found matches the level of depth, not breadth, that I get to do with folks.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty powerful. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so let's go all the way back to managing bands. Okay, confession. I'm doing a confession. So I sing, and I was in a Rush tribute band. No joke, in high school.
No
So
way.
you told me before the podcast that you sang. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious. What do you do? What are you
I'm
singing?
not in a Rush cover band. That's pretty funny. I sing all kinds of things now. My love lies in R&B and jazz. But on the weekends, sometimes I continue to sing at weddings. So I've kept up. I've kept up with the music thing because I find it to be the most incredible outlet after a week of work. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And
Yeah.
and I sing. I'm part of a Unitarian church here in Chicago, and I sing in their church
Mm,
choir,
fantastic.
and I hadn't sang in decades, and now I'm back singing, and I'll tell you what, this goes away if you don't use it.
It is a muscle. It is like anything else in our
So good for
bodies.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
good for
no,
you
good
that you've
for
kept
you.
up with it.
I love that you've come back to it. I took a break when I had babies, and then
Yeah,
I got back into it and thought, why does anybody quit music if they have that capacity? Yeah.
right. And
So
and honestly, the whole reason I went back to church was just to sing. So there, I've confessed. I've said it,
good
and they
for
know that.
you. Thank you for confessing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That makes you a better boss. This is the Better Boss Confessional.
In looking back at your career, surely there's a moment, Jill.
I knew what you were going to ask. I don't want to say this is the biggest mistake of my business life, but it was a very big one slash teaching moment slash I'm getting hives starting to tell you this right now because it was so terrible. As I said, my first business, I was managing bands for a living. I started the company because I was fresh out of law school. I had gone to school, completed school for 3 years in Los Angeles. And with my law degree, I knew I don't want to hold this and walk into corporate working as an attorney. It's just not my vibe. And I had previously, before law school, worked at a record label. And I thought, well, why don't I manage bands for a living? I want to make clear I didn't practice law, but I did exceptionally well in school, such that I got the strongest A one can get in contracts class. This is very important for the story. I did so well in contracts class that the professor asked me to work alongside her in some work she was doing outside of school. So I knew how to read a contract.
Mhm.
Fast forward to working with my then third client who was in a rock band. He liked to party, shall we say. And
Mhm.
one evening, as he's deep into his partying, he looked at me and he said, you know, I'd like to do a show in Chicago. And I'd really like to make it a show where I and my band open up for the Black Crowes. And I said, haha, that's a great idea. Good luck to you. And he looked at me and said, no, no, Jill, I want you to arrange this concert. I was brand new to running businesses. I was brand new to pleasing clients. And I looked at him and said, well, okay, if that's what I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
So I went down a rabbit hole online. It was a little easier to find important people back in the day. Found the manager of the Black Crowes, said, can we get them to fly in here and do a concert with my client? They said, yes, absolutely. It will cost this much. We'll send you a contract. You also are going to have to pay for them to fly in by private helicopter. I said, no problem. Because as a brand new entrepreneur, I also knew, okay, once I know the price tag, I just have to go and figure out how to find the money. And I very much was in the place of like, I'll figure it out. That's pretty much how I ran the first two businesses. That no, I lied. That's how I've run every business. Is I just you figure it out. So I received this contract and I signed this contract and I sent it in. I cannot tell you how happy I was that I got the Black Crowes to come to Chicago to play with my client. But about, I want to say a week after I had sent in the agreement, my client had stopped partying. and came to me and said, "You know what? I don't want to do this concert anymore with the Black Crows, and I'm interested." And I was very much a client pleasing entrepreneur. And I said, "Are you sure?" I gave him 24 hours. He said, "I'm done. I'm over it. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too scary." I said, "Okay, let me take care of it." So I called the manager and I said, "Hey, we don't really need the Black Crows anymore in Chicago." He said, "That's just fine. All you have to do is pay the cancellation fee." Which at the time, and I just want to remind you, I was starting my first business. I had
Mhm.
no money. The clause stated that I was to owe $5,000. So where was I getting this $5,000? I wasn't even going to have a concert to be able to
Mhm.
pay anything at all. Uh, so I think at the time I was so alarmed that I had graduated from law school, excelling in
Mhm.
contracts. I never read the contract. I was just excited. I signed it. I sent it in. So, I mean, I dipped into savings and then some. Let's just say I had to
Mm.
go and beg and plead to find, which it's so funny because now it sounds like $5,000, whatever. It was a very big deal at the time. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, how am I going to survive? How am I going to pay any bills? Where am I going to get this money? Um, Frankly, I don't remember all the people that I asked to help pay this.
Mm.
But it took a lot of people, and it was a very humbling experience that taught me so many things. It taught me about money, how to handle money. It taught me all about not pleasing my clients in the way that I was doing for too long.
Mm.
Um, Frankly, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know if it's taught me to read contracts
Mm.
because I still very much resist reading a contract, and I went to law school.
Mm.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. It takes too much time, and I have no interest. But here I am, still standing many businesses later. So I survived,
Yeah.
just
So did
barely.
did you have in this new business of yours, did you have any help or were you it? You were a one-man band?
I was a one-man band. I don't know if you would count the team of contractors that I would work with.
Mhm.
So, or the friends that supported me in running the business.
Mhm.
But who was making the decisions? Me.
I mean, I think that's such a common story from so many entrepreneurs about just getting in over their head, and that's why I asked if you had any help because, you know, the the problem is that we are it, right? When we're a solopreneur, you're it, everything comes through you, and that mentality is really hard to let go of once things do start taking off and you are able to bring new people in and
Well, I don't know if it would have mattered. If I had a team, but I was the owner of the business, I would absolutely not have listened because it was the greatest accomplishment in the world to get a famous band
oh,
to
for
come and
sure.
play with my little client that if you had said at the time, "Jill, there's no way. Hey, I see this clause in the like I think I would have been deaf to all of that. And I think in the years that passed, as people would point out, like, I don't know if that's a good idea, or hey, I've done that and that sucks. I don't know if I listened for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I see all the time, and that's what I've been personally. I mean, I was like, "No, I know where we're going. I got it."
Right,
It's
right.
I
Yes.
see that don't you see this thing that
This
God,
picture that I see, yeah. And I
right.
feel almost silly telling this story that still gives me hives, and the quantity of loss that I felt at the time isn't relatable unless you've been through exactly that sort of situation. So I feel funny telling it because it's like, "Oh, poor Jill, she's the idiot, and I would never do that."
No, no, not at
Not
all.
not
I
that
think
you're thinking that.
yeah,
I just
but
think a lot of people hear stories like this that are warnings and go like, "Yeah, but that wouldn't happen to me," you know?
well, that's the thing is that every entrepreneur thinks that would never happen to me. And I
Yeah,
can tell you at
yeah.
least 10 stories where I made some really boneheaded decisions. I mean, like, almost damaging the reputation of our company for just a joke. or, whatever. But, um, listening to your story, I think that I'm probably not the only one wondering why you didn't stick it to your client to pay the 5,000.
Because I was the greatest client pleaser of all time. I
Okay.
think there was nothing my client could do
Mm.
that was wrong because it was my client, and it was one of my very first clients ever of all time.
Yeah.
And so I thought my role was to make sure no matter what, I want to serve my client must be happy. If my client changes my client's mind, that's that's
Uh-huh.
the prerogative of my client.
I
And
see.
I'm just the lowly manager who makes things happen or not happen. Uh,
Mhm.
and my whole goal at the time was just to make that guy happy.
And did this guy stay with you?
Absolutely, I was doing such a great job making him happy. He stayed for, I wanna say, 8 months, and then he disbanded. The band doesn't exist anymore. He went back to the classical world where he had come from. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, he I mean, the amount of regret that is now in that scene, and yet I learned so much from it that
Right.
thank God I lived to tell the tale, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
because
but that's just it, and that's the whole purpose of this podcast is, like, we don't learn from the successes. We learn from the screw ups and the poor communication or whatever, and then it's just, "Okay, now I've learned that, now I've learned this, now I've learned that,"
Mhm.
and it just layers. And then some things we just never learn, and we have to keep relearning and
Yeah,
relearning and
like reading a contract. I just can't get that one into me. But that was the most money I had ever lost due to a
Mhm,
decision of my own.
mhm.
Um, and it was the beginning of a long, multi year journey of figuring out that my job is not to please the client, that my job is to serve the client's best interest, but I can draw a boundary if I need to.
It's lonely when you're especially by yourself. I mean, it's just so hard to get things off the ground, and so I thanks for sharing. I'm sure that everybody can relate to that one.
Uh, I would hope so. Yeah, and I feel that over the years, I clearly didn't have a bad enough time because I started another business and then another business. But the through line for me is that the mistakes either got smaller or they impacted me less and
Mhm.
they felt less bad. Although,
Right.
frankly, there are some things that feel equally bad to that story I just told, even now.
Mhm.
Depends. Depends on the day, depends on the activity. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we're all just learning. So, who has influenced you over the years? So, in your coaching business, um, what resources do you pull from?
So many. And I can rattle off names of giants in the coaching industry whom I adore, revere, love, respect, like the Steve Chandlers, Nancy Klein's, Melissa Ford's, Michael Neal's, the folks that really focus on service and what it means um, to provide for a client in a way that no one ever has before. Uh, uh, There is one guy, I'm pretty much a disciple of his at this point. I so revere. He's not in the coaching business, but his name is Will Gadara, and he wrote a brilliant book called Unreasonable Hospitality, that is essentially all about being unreasonable in your hospitality to serve folks. And he writes for the hospitality industry. But I think his messaging is just brilliant. So I'm pulling from people all the time, but those are sort of the core folks that have lived what they teach or live what they teach. And I want to be just like them when I grow up, you know?
Don't we all? Yeah, I mean, and it's easy to get caught up in the teachings of other people and thinking that you have to change directions and things like that. But I mean, don't you find that what your clients really need is for you to just listen?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I do find that that's maybe 90% of the job. And for the 10% of my guidance, I want to be the most informed and the most of service to them.
I think it's about listening and asking the best questions that you can that challenge them without them being leading questions, and that's something I struggle with because I'm the queen of leading questions.
Ah, well, I actually was going to say, in response to that, that's such a tiny moment. Like, oh, we just have to ask a question. But that, in and of itself, to me, is a skill that's taken years to hone, that's going to continue to take so many years to hone. Because you can ask the surface questions, you can ask the deeper questions, you can work around somebody and figure out how to ask something where they didn't even see it coming and they've never thought about it that way. And that's really hard to do. So, I mean, that's pretty much the teachings that I study are either in the skills of listening and asking questions or in paying attention to who I am as a person and a coach, because I feel like that it's one and the same. Being a great coach, being a great person, how am I living? How am I feeding my soul in a way that serves me to serve them?
Yeah. I mean, it's such an art form, and I had at one point in time, I had a there was a theme of the year for me around asking questions because I realized that I was the queen of the leading questions. So I needed to figure out how to ask things in a different way. And there's what it requires. So when you are asking leading questions, it's a questolution is really what it is.
Correct. That's such a great word. Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
putting the solution within the question and just
Yeah.
'cause and this stems from me, and my guess is you might have a high quick start. I don't know if you've ever done Colby. Have we
I
talked about
sure
Colby?
have. I think I have the highest.
Oh, and
Yeah,
it
it's
is?
pretty darn high.
It's like a
Oh,
9 or a
am I
10?
supposed to know the number? I think it's a 9. I'm pretty sure it's a 9.
Right.
I did not come prepared. It's written
No,
down
you didn't,
somewhere, but
and you don't
yeah,
have to know, but
yeah.
what a visionary answer.
Exactly, exactly.
I
Okay,
think
so
it
you could
is.
guess it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can almost always tell because I see a kindred spirit, right? And for me, it's just like, "Come on, let's just go. Let's go. Let's go." And I wanna get there faster so that that gets in the way of me asking questions coming from a different place.
And you are speaking to the heart of why I'm obsessed with coaching. Because I'm such a quick start and I so want to just I can see I'm getting you from A to Z in 2 minutes. Just give me
Right.
120 seconds,
Yeah.
I can get you there.
Yeah.
And what I love that coaching teaches me is that, well, I think I now know 20 years into entrepreneurship, I can't do it for you. So in order for you to get you from A to Z, it's so much fun now for me to lean back and figure out how to hear what I need to hear, to ask you the right question, to just point you over here a little bit. So it's like a game. It's like a game that I love to play, and it really is a teaching around patience, uh, of which
So
I have
so
very
I
little.
shouldn't say to my clients, "So have you thought about having a deep conversation with your mom?"
Right,
Like,
that, which
okay.
I actually think is most welcome in the consulting universe. I think that's great.
I know, but we're not consultants, right? Like we're
Yeah,
there to teach a
yeah.
system and there to get them to the right answer, and it's not
Right,
about
right.
us.
Yes.
So, and sometimes
Right.
that's frustrating for my clients because they just want me to tell them,
That's
right?
all I ever want from my coach. Just give me the
Just tell
answer.
me what to do. Tell
I
me what
don't
to do.
I don't wanna guess. Yeah. Yeah, and and that's where the work lies. So
Exactly.
that's it's yeah, it's juicy when you get in there, but you I think the biggest problem anyone and everyone has with this is that you have to be willing to do it. Not to call everyone out, but myself included formerly. It's really tough stuff, and it's the hardest. I think it's the hardest in building a business, truly. It's very easy to stay superficial. It's very easy to stay on the surface of everything and get better at your marketing and your branding and your sales and go through the systems and the steps, and it's not the way of getting better as an entrepreneur.
Right. It is the people stuff. And just in every sense of it, because we have this thing in EOS that we say it's either people or process. Those are usually the two issues, and frequently we point fingers at people, saying they're the problem, when really it's the process that's the problem. And if we could figure out how to do that, and but um, looking within and saying as a leader, like, well, what am I bringing to the table here? What do I need to work on? How do I need to get better? How do I need to show up? Right. And I think that asking yourself those questions, or having a coach that asks you those questions, is the ticket to getting to the next place. I mean, we talk a lot about people hitting a ceiling or companies hitting a ceiling. And, when people hit a ceiling, when they cannot, get beyond a certain point because of emotional intelligence or communication skills, or, just all the internal stuff, the stories that they're telling themselves, it will cause a company to screech to a halt too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so that's why this work is so important. I mean, I think having a peer group, having a system, an operating system, and then having a personal coach for anybody that's a leader, that's like um, you know, the trifecta for improving and getting better.
And I don't think there's a more vital time to figure this out and get on this bandwagon that you and I are talking about, because AI is showing up and starting to make everybody feel very reinforced about whatever they're typing in is a good job and the right idea, and you're onto something and you're making progress, and AI doesn't question your thoughts with you or for you. And I think we're, not to get into a massive AI conversation, but I think that that's something to consider for folks when they are feeling very reinforced by their own bots, whichever one they're using, that like maybe it's not so great and maybe you need to talk to a human being who can point out that your thinking might need some thinking.
Yeah, and even to the extent of using ChatGPT or whatever as your coach. I mean, I have people that wanna use AI all the time in a session room, and it's just not the place for it. Because while AI can spit out something in a very short period of time that sounds amazing, is it really you? Is And that if we're not tapping into the humanity of a business, or of that leadership team, or the founder's reason for starting the company way back when, then we're not really getting to anything that anybody can latch on to. So this is why we're extremely low tech in our sessions. I do all my work on a whiteboard. I mean, there is EOS software, and that works great. And I mean, obviously, I have a sponsor of this podcast that's EOS software, but there's a time and a place for it, and it's not something that, if we use it all the time, I worry also that we're going to atrophy our ability to think and reason.
Yes, yes, yes to everything you're saying. I think the differentiator for me, I love the systems piece about AI. I love that you can go in and put in, well, I have this new idea. What do you like? I love the basic convo. Where I worry is when I have clients that come to me and talk about how they've put in, I don't know, an interaction they had with a potential customer, and AI will tell my client how my client feels, and it will diagnose the interaction, the transcript, and say, well, you sounded like you were a little down, or whatever the feeling was. And my client is listening to AI. That's where I start going like, uh-oh, we're listening to AI about who we are. And I think if you're starting to do that, time to reach out to another human being.
Yeah, it's all about human connection at the end of the day. And I know it seems like, we're both in the business world, and that it's about transactions and making money and things like that. But I think that the reason most people get into business, there's a very human reason for why they're doing what they are doing. Otherwise, it would be unsustainable. They would
For
not
sure.
be able to keep doing it if there wasn't really a reason. If they didn't feel that they were making the world a better place, if they didn't feel that they were improving people's lives and improving an industry, then why would they even do it, right?
Yeah. No, that human connection, which I don't think can be worn away by AI, is the thing that I think people just forget. They just forget exactly what you just said. And that's the thing that keeps us connected, that keeps us talking to one another, that brings us joy in what we do every day. I mean, if all the people dropped away off the face of the earth, would you run your business? I don't know.
So are you really good at unsubscribing yourself?
Right. I have been working real hard on exactly this for years now. So I think
Mhm.
3 years ago, I deleted Facebook. I have LinkedIn and Instagram, although for the last 4 weeks, I've been testing out not going on to Instagram to see what that's like. But I have a new book out, so it's very hard to not go on there because I have to say something. Have to, right? Um, I'm fighting a very giant uphill battle because I am not only wanting to get off of most of these things and be a good unsubscriber, but I'm trying to get other people to come with me. And it's not really working. It's not working. Everybody's addicted. And I understand it, but I think there's a better world out there that's just like the 1980s, if anybody remembers those days. Yeah.
The pendulum will swing back, I think.
I
And
can't wait for that, Beth. I can't wait.
I do see it actually happening with my kids. My daughter is monitoring her own screen time. She's trying to stay off her device.
Wow.
She's, you know, puts the phone in another room at night. I mean,
Oh,
there are many,
oh, oh, yes,
you
yes.
know,
I can't wait. Mm.
so I think people will get there.
I have read that
Hopefully.
millennials are on their way off the phones. I have
Yeah.
read that a lot of them are doing in-person connecting. Remember that?
So here's the joke. Like on TikTok this morning, I saw a, a young woman. I no joke. I am terrible with TikTok, but I like limit myself. So I was watching, and she said, "I'm gonna get a dumb phone, a dumb car, like everything not connected." And I thought, oh man, that's like the '80s, like that.
It is. It is. And I think right now I'm noticing, not among millennials, but older folks, there's a panic that ensues about what am I going to miss? Am I going to be left out? So
Yeah,
the FOMO is real. And I struggle with that myself.
for sure.
Um, yeah. But
Well,
I'll tell you, I'm having a good time off the apps.
okay. Well, good for you.
It
But
is better over here. Yeah. Yeah.
so tell me about your book. You said
I
you
would
have a
love
book.
to. I
Yes.
do have a new book. It is uh, a graphic novel where I created 5 fictional characters. I made it into a sort of like a comic book.
Mhm.
They are an amalgamation of all of the excuses that I hear from my coaching clients as to why they can't move forward. So,
Mm.
but I don't have time, but I don't have the money, but I don't have the experience, but whatever the excuse is, they often start with the word but. So I wrote the Big Butt book.
Sure.
And it is all about the detours that shape us. And I created a customized set of colored pencils to go with it because why shouldn't a graphic novel be a coloring book for adults?
Yeah,
So
for
it's sort
sure.
of a fun take for those who want to think deep thoughts but want to have a lot of fun doing it because I find that most coaching books I have read, a lot of which have influenced me deeply and greatly, uh, are really serious. They're so serious. And it
Mhm.
makes you think this work is only done by serious people who have to take it very seriously
Mm.
and speak really slowly. It's all stuff that drives me crazy. So I thought I would like to create something really for potential clients to understand how I think about coaching, but also for people who want to see themselves in a graphic novel.
Mm.
And I've already had several people reach out and say, is this about me?
Yeah.
It's not about anybody. It's completely fictional.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it has happened several times. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I'll get the when you were telling that story on the podcast, was that us? And I'll say,
right,
"No,
right.
absolutely not."
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is not. It is not. But it's fun. And there's even a superhero that shows up in the book. I don't want to give it away,
Okay, all right.
but it's fun.
I think you sent it to my office, and
Mm,
I've been a little drowning lately. We had
that is
our
okay. It's the start of
handbook
the
came
year.
out. Yeah, and, so I've been kinda catching up, but
Good
I saw
job.
that there were crayons, and that
Colored
made me
pencils.
okay, colored pencils
Colored pencils. And I
made me
can't wait for you to have a coloring moment.
okay, I'll
Yeah.
take a picture with it.
Yeah. I'd love that. Awesome.
All right, Jill, I have one last question for you before we leave the podcast, and that is, if you were to get a tattoo, maybe you have tattoos, I don't know, and this is your opportunity to share if you do, but if you were to get a tattoo that would help us understand you at a deeper level, either related to your story or not, what would your tattoo be and where would it be located?
Am I allowed to give you 2 answers?
Of course you are.
I don't have any tattoos. I often wear temporary tattoos. Oh, you can't see. Yeah. Because I do enjoy them. I just can't decide, which is why I'm giving you 2 answers. If I was to have a tattoo, the superficial answer would be that I would have it, uh, in my sun sign. I'm Aries.
Up, same.
Okay. In fact, I'm a double Aries, Aries rising. And I would probably have it right here on my wrist. But I have been pretty obsessed with a guy who creates tattoos out of Berlin, Germany. And all he does are lines. Beautiful works of art on people's bodies that are just straight lines. And I can't remember his name. Um, but I want that in real life. And I think it symbolizes quite a bit, the line. But I don't know where I'd put it, so I can't give you that's why I needed 2 answers. It's either the thigh, the back, the arm, I don't know. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any either, and at some point, maybe during this podcast, I'll get one, but I am getting some temporary tattoos made because I'm tattoo curious, and so they're boss related, bad boss related tattoos, so those will be coming out soon.
Yes, I will wear them if you send them. I will even wear them on my face if you send them to me. I love temporary tattoos. I really do.
Please don't. Right here on your neck, okay, Jill? That's
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
I just offended every neck tattoo person out there,
That's
but
right, that's right.
it
Yeah.
it's just not
No,
not my vibe.
I've done a lot of temporary right here on the
Yeah,
chest. Yeah,
okay.
like a necklace.
Oh,
Mhm.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing yourself with us today, Jill.
My pleasure. This was so much fun. You made it
Good,
tremendously fun.
good.
We ended
I'm
on
glad.
tattoos. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's how I like to end it,
That's right. That's right.
leaving people wanting more.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Well, I'll see you soon, and I will send you a picture of my coloring, and we'll leave it in the show notes for people
I
when they're
cannot
watching
wait
it.
to see it. Thank you.
Thanks to Jill Salzman for sharing her perspective on coaching and so many other things. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with friends who need to hear this. Thanks for listening to Bad Boss Confessional. We'll see you next week.